CCTV.
Episode number 356. 1 year since we started doing this every day.
Why are you bullshitting? I wonder when we actually did the first one. Don't know, don't remember. Feels like I've been on this channel 10,000 years. But welcome to the urban jungle today, here somewhere in downtown Los Angeles. That we'd get real with some greenery. You know, can't be in my backyard all the time, but all of these are real plants. Even the ones over by James, currently playing a little pool.
I'm gonna make this in.
I hope you do. You did it.
I did it. I won the game.
You won.
Can you believe it? I won the game. Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
I don't think you called that. Did you call that pocket?
I looked at it.
All right.
You thought about it.
I looked at it. It was the only one that I could. Look, they have a training ball.
We have the swan here.
I've never seen a training ball. Never mind.
We're still pool
Audio
talk.
people can't
We're
see
still on pool talk. Yeah, you brought the swan here.
I brought the swan. There's no animals to frighten with it, so I figured it was appropriate.
So last time we were with animals, now we're just looking at animal skulls.
Yeah, what did we do last week? Oh, we were in a teepee last week.
It's like the life cycle of, like a goat or a ram.
Yeah, look, that's where
ends up as a designer table piece.
They didn't have any goats with horns like that, but if they did,
well, I think it's like a small ram.
No, but I think you could breed a goat to get some crazy
horns
like
that.
You make a pact with Satan.
With neglect. You just neglect your animal.
Look at that table. That's the table. Like that's like a bigger version of the table that I got for that one Amazon bit with the axe.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that same table. That's like the same type of table.
That's an expensive table. You can.
They can't break.
They can't break.
Even with the axe.
They bleed when you.
Yeah.
Cut them.
It wouldn't break at all. They're durable.
How's this ambient?
Interesting place.
LA sound to you? Got some sirens down the streets below.
Police.
But we're up here.
This is just my street. This is where I live.
How's that sound?
Oh my God.
That's intense. It's nice. We're about, a few floors up away from the rabble, so we can have a nice discussion this week. Now, listen, normally I, seed our sponsors in throughout the episode, but today's a very special conversation. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to.
Shut these.
Can't stop crime. LA's been trying for decades.
It's gone. They got him.
What are you gonna do? They got him. They got him. The guy who probably started a fire. That's the hot crime of the minute right now. Anyways, I'd like to thank our sponsor this week, Quip. You know Quip, the electric toothbrush that...
I use Quip.
Yeah, I use Quip. They sponsor CCTV multiple times, always looking out for us. Let's learn a little bit, though, if you're new to the podcast. What is Quip? See, the truth is most of us are brushing our teeth wrong, not for long enough, and forget to change our brush on time. That's because most brands focus on selling flashy gimmicks rather than better brushing, but not Quip. So what makes Quip so different? For starters, Quip is an electric toothbrush that's a fraction of the cost of bulkier brushes, while still packing in just the right amount of vibrations to help clean your teeth. Quip's built-in timer helps you clean for the dentist recommended 2 minutes with guiding pulses that remind you when to switch sides. And Quip's subscription plans are for your health, not just convenience. They deliver new brush heads on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. You use your Quip?
Yeah, I must say the battery life, it's still going strong too.
Yeah.
The pre-built battery that's in it, it just doesn't run out.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the recommended time.
It's been a while since you gave me mine.
Yeah, it's great. Quip also comes with a mount that suctions right to your mirror and unsticks to use as a cover for hygienic travel wherever you take your teeth. And everyone loves Quip. They're on Oprah's O List, named one of Time's best inventions, and they're the first subscription electric toothbrush accepted by the American Dental Association. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/CCTV right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/CCTV, spelled getquip.com/CCTV. Yeah, get yourself a nice electric toothbrush, a little mount sticks right on your mirror, take it with you. Take care of your teeth. It's important, whether you're on YouTube or not. People notice that shit.
You just had your teeth
Removed.
pulled out recently.
Yes.
Removed.
Yes.
What a.
And I got a filling, and I got
Deleted.
cavities. I mean, I've been trying to take care of my teeth now, because I'm grinding them down to nothing, and they're little baby teeth now. So Yeah, trying my hardest. I got fitted for a mouth guard for my grinding, and I don't know when exactly I get it, but I think it's like 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'll have to sleep with a mouth guard.
I sleep with a mouth guard. You don't grind your teeth?
No.
Give it time.
It's like you don't feel. It's like I've managed to, I guess, overcome the in the day anxiety and stresses, but obviously at night it catches up, and I do it mentally, in my sleep. It's like that's when I feel all the anxiety and the stress. It comes to me at night. And it forces
It's
me
really
to
sad.
grind.
Whatever.
There's no
here.
running.
Who knows what I'm thinking about at night that's making me grind and clench my teeth?
Yeah,
I don't know. Terrible, terrible things.
Welcome to the mouth guard club. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of,
Terrible, terrible things.
Oh boy.
so, excuse me. This week on CCTV, this is a real unscripted chat. This is just, we didn't really plan this out. We're just gonna shoot the shit. Just 3 dudes talking about some recent events involving our company.
Except, well, the last time I had this type of conversation, it was, I'm pretty sure, in World of Warcraft, because we were all sitting around the table and we're having a very serious dialogue. But this time there's just people screaming outside and fire trucks driving down the main street. So
Yeah, we're having face-to-face conversation this time, but there's more distractions. There's no one PvPing in the background, so that's true. If you're watching this, I guess I don't really have a sense. Like, we're recording this a week before it airs, so I don't know what you found out, generally speaking. But if you don't know, Asher is no longer with the channel. That's the bulk of this conversation.
the last original, not really original remnant, because we had we had Trevor and Aaron and Joe, obviously, before we brought on Anna, who had to go home because of emergency family things. I think, I still don't know.
I was out of
It wasn't
town
an
that
emergency,
week. I
but-
was out of town that week, so I didn't even really get
She
the
did
full
give.
scope.
She gave us a heads up. I saw her once at Lindsay's birthday party before she had to go, and then Asher now, through different reasons, and I guess that's why we're having this very serious,
Well, this is a pretty unique,
very
case.
intense CCTV episode where
Intense.
James is gonna mostly talk about it.
Hell yeah.
To your point, though, he was the last of the Colorado crew.
Right.
Now it's an all-new.
Now
LA only.
it's cue the channel's dying comments.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? That's the main reason I think we're having this conversation, is because anytime someone leaves, for whatever reason, those who are still with the channel bear the brunt of hearing, channel's dying, oh my God, no matter how people felt about that person, even when they started, it's the end of, it's major crisis mode, it's the end of the channel, and we hear about it for like 3 months until something distracts people. Did it with Trevor.
Yeah.
I did it with, I don't know if we really did it with Joe. I think Joe was kind of the
Joe was one of the
unique case.
I guess aside from Aaron, Joe was one of the first to like have an entire amount of time where we could dedicate doing like a video, and but he didn't want a video because he knew what that was like, because we used to do videos in the past with like goodbyes, and I just got really old because there's too many goodbyes at that point. Just fuck off, go, leave.
I mean, I talked to him about his like his send off, I guess, or whatever. He was cool with doing that. Just having it be a normal like video, just with like the little bit of an extension, like a little bit of like a nod to it kind of thing. And I think it worked out because I mean that's what he wanted anyway. So he didn't want to make it a big thing, just like a normal, regularly scheduled video. That's what he wanted. So, but yeah.
well,
Right.
you went out last night. Went to the club.
No, I went.
that-
Sorry, a sidetrack. No, I went to the Improv on Melrose to see Ken Yong, the Asian guy, Doctor or Mr. Chow from Hangover. You know, like, look at my tiny penis. Like
He was
that
in
guy.
Crazy
Yeah,
Rich
Crazy
Asians,
Asians.
which I
Y'all just,
enjoyed
like,
very
completely
much.
changed-
That's fine. We don't
Well, you
have to
saw
talk about
these-
anything bad. We can just move on.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
despite everybody else's like, you know, come and go things, like most people have kind of had like reasonings as to why they wanted to venture out, do their own thing, explore themselves, right? Do whatever it is, like explore other options, do other things.
Some of them very abruptly.
Yes.
We've lost 5 people over the course of our 2-year history.
It's almost 3 years. I mean.
Almost 3.
It's a lot.
It's almost
3
3
years.
It's
So
a lot.
It seems like a lot, but we'll get into.
Yeah, we can touch more on that.
Let's talk about Asher.
I think this one's a little different.
It's
and
definitely
we can,
more
We can all
unique.
agree on that in the sense that it wasn't a soul search thing that someone had to go on, or like an emergency family journey, or they just didn't feel like being out here anymore. This one was more, I want to say, like a part ways thing, as nicely as I can put it, because I feel like at the end of the day we're just running a fucking YouTube channel, and so to say that we had to let someone go always just, I don't know, sucks to say, or is, I don't know, it's not like as, I feel like it's not like you're losing a job that's like a career orientated like position in an corporation. It's more like we had to
I never
have
know.
someone
I mean, it
that's
could be. It could be.
maybe,
Could
but we had to part ways. We had to send him off.
Send him off.
Send him back on a voyage of self-discovery because things just didn't, I guess, work out. I'm not sure how much detail we talked about, giving detail in the car. I'd want to be a little bit more transparent. I know you guys did too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care at this point. I'd rather us be transparent than like the blowback of us trying to protect people, I guess, coming back to haunt us or whatever. And whatever. We discussed this with Asher. We were like, listen, we're going to be real about this when the time comes for that conversation. And I don't know that we've always been 100% as real as we would have liked to, because we're trying to like look out for people or make sure that they're good to go. But honestly, this far in, I'm just like, all right, let's just say whatever. So
I think I'll just give my piece, and you guys can go. Asher, like you guys said, or like we just said, has been around with us since Colorado. He's done an awesome job as an editor. He, has done wonderful creative things on the channel. I'll never take that away from him. On camera, he's been great. He's funny. You guys, I see the Reddit posts where people talk about like Asher's character in Mafia, or Asher did a good job editing this video. His work is great. The reasons that we had to come to this decision now is mainly just really work ethic. Getting a phone call, I guess, from my agent here. This is the time I should leave. The fuck was that? Sorry. Weird CCTV. For me personally, I think it just came down to, I don't think it was good for him to be in this work environment where there's just some serious, I guess, problems that I feel like he had that where he couldn't thrive working in the warehouse. Whether it was timeliness or I don't know, just punctuality or just general attitude. As bluntly as I can put it, I just don't feel like he can do like a good job working on like a channel like this. I don't know. It sucks because this is the first time I'm having like self-reflection, like thinking about him working for Couch Up, and I hate using the term work because I feel like
it's a job. You don't have to like. I
know, but I hate using the term job because.
But it is a job, and that's what boils down to.
I guess,
every single person that we've lost so far is like, this is a job. We can sugarcoat it and make it a friendly vibe as much as we want and look out for people and go out of our way to provide for people, but it's a job. And if you can't do the job, you can't work here. End of story.
That's why, see, this is why you're the manager, this is why you're the head honcho ex-machinima, almost CEO here.
All right, go on. That's all. I just want to ground it in that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't think you should feel bad about saying
I
that.
do feel bad saying like, oh, he was an employee and he was doing like a job, but that's what it is. And I think from the outside people look and it's like, oh, these are YouTubers or whatever. James and Aleks have been just making a fucking shit show out in Los Angeles, which is true. And that's the way I like to see what we do. But yeah, we do hire people, we do payroll, we do have vacation days, things like that, like a normal job. And I just feel like Asher just wasn't cut out for it, you know. I don't know what he did before Colorado. I'm trying to remember. He did like DJ weddings and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if his work ethic transferred over or not, but I just don't think he liked waking up in the morning and coming in on time. I don't think he liked staying late because you got to get the project done. You know, I don't think he liked putting in the extra hours into cleanup or just making sure like his ideas or his videos get done.
What?
That's just a rich statement coming from you.
Well,
Didn't enjoy the cleanup. I like that. I like that.
You can talk about it more if you want. I mean,
No, it's fine. Go for it.
even in circumstances, I think, where you would clean up, Asher would still be a limited participant, sort of in that vibe. Kind of more of a cursory.
oh yeah, I mean, I had to. Yeah.
You guys doing something? Yeah, we're cleaning up a huge mess. Do you want to help?
It's more like, hey,
No.
I'm about to clean up these basketballs that James threw in the urinal for his stream announcement video that he just left all over the place. But
Oh shit, I did leave those.
yeah, you
there.
did fucking leave those
Wow.
there. But I
sorry.
guess
Here
I'm
we
the
go.
cleanup. I'm the bad cleanup one.
Whoa.
Anyway, back
We don't need to get into that.
back to
I apologize for the record.
The police are here.
I'm sorry. I did do that, and I fucked
I'll
that.
take I'll take your apology. I'll take your apology.
10-4, I left the basketballs in the toilet.
It's
I just really quick threw them in the urinal, and then I left, and I
just
I forgot.
piss covered basketballs
I
in
didn't
the
pee
urinal.
on them. I didn't pee on them.
If you throw them in the urinal, I imagine there's
It's
pee on
just
it.
urinal water.
It's just urinal
Just
water.
urinal
Yeah, it's
water.
just urinal
Ants
water.
built a colony in there once, so how dirty could it be?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Anyways,
don't worry
Disgusting.
about that.
not
Disgusting,
be,
but it's not like,
If you wanna write a formal statement about my cleanup job, and then maybe do a CCTV episode on that, you're more than
I don't need
welcome
to. People can see it in the videos. But I apologize. I apologize.
All right.
They saw you on camera.
I
cleaning
hate
up.
the detraction in this show sometimes. Like whatever.
It's a little bit of judicious levity. Okay.
Yeah. So those are really my points. I guess is just Asher. I don't feel like Asher could do a good job doing things like I think are typically expected of anybody that works in a normal job. If you go into like a grocery store and you work there, you know, I'm sure your boss expects you to come in on time. I mean, that's a pretty basic thing. And I also want to stress that there wasn't a moment where we didn't give opportunity to do better, you know, whether it was...
And to discuss that with him specifically.
Obviously, talk about it. That's a big deal. It's just, it came to a point where it was just too much, where it was talking about it, just got old, you know, hey, can you make it to the airport in time? Things like, it just got too old. It was almost annoying to talk about it constantly, and it felt like we just weren't getting anywhere. You know, it just felt like it got to a point where it seemed like, you know, I was being ignored, or maybe Brett was being ignored, and just wasn't productive. And unfortunately, when it gets to that point, I feel like you can have a really toxic relationship with that person, be it your employee or be it your friend. It's just not good. You know, you can't hang out with somebody during the day and be like, wow, you did a really shitty job coming in today, and then like later hang out and like grab a drink or something. It just doesn't work that way. So unfortunately, it got to that point, and I think the best decision was just to like part ways. And I'm sure he's gonna make a statement about it later himself, but I imagine from his perspective, it probably felt good to not have to go in anymore, and probably felt good to go back home and do your own thing and not feel stressed out, because I could see that it stressed him out at a certain point too, like the third or fourth conversation, you know, no one wants to have that. No one wants to be pulled aside and be told that they're not doing a good job. So I imagine that it was mutually beneficial. Obviously there's going to be people speculating, and you guys don't get to see everything all the time. The CCTV cameras aren't rolling when we're having private conversations, for a good reason, but I'm sure he'll put out his statement, and it's probably going to resonate to everything that we're going to say. But that's all I have, and you guys can, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's like not something that you want to have happen. Like Brett said, you know, we've had a lot of people kind of come and go, you know, including OGs and, you know, people we were like super, super tight knit with and everything. It's rough when like he kind of had a bit of like a personal stuff going on at the same time as all of this. It affected everything. I think for me personally, it really kind of crossed that line when it starts to affect the team entirely, and it's something where everybody else gets affected by it, and it's like almost in a way dragging everybody else down. Like Aleks spoke of a little bit, airport timeliness. Missing multiple flights is not good, especially when it's like an event or something where the entirety of the team needs to pull together stuff, essentially for you guys, whether it's like a panel or a meet and greet or whatever the case may be. That's like the entirety of the unit needs to kind of be on the same page for that. And when it comes to dropping that ball and affecting everybody else involved, that's where it kind of goes a little bit too far, I would say, because the entire operation doesn't deserve to, or other people in general don't deserve to like be put in weird circumstances due to just somebody's actions. So I think he needed kind of like a hard reset. Maybe this is that for him, where he can just kind of reevaluate and figure out what he needs to do with himself, and to sort out some of the other stuff that he had going on. But I think that for me is like the main thing when it affects everybody as a whole. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I agree. It sucks ass to, and nobody wants to like kind of have to think about this side of things, right? Like everyone wants to believe that every YouTube channel is just a bunch of friends hanging out and it's as simple as that and that's all it takes. But at the end of the day, 100%, any YouTube channel you like has to operate like a business if they're consistent. If you're not watching a channel where videos upload. Especially
now, right? Like in the beginning, sure, it was very lax. It was very, like cut and dry, like you're just doing the YouTube channel kind of deal. With YouTube changes, with just like it becoming more having to be regulated, you know what I mean? Like you need to have like the actual infrastructure, like you can't just fucking dodge taxes and shit like that. Like you need to have the formal structure to operate nowadays, and almost even individual YouTubers nowadays have to have that infrastructure in place. Like it's just how it needs to be now because of how the I don't want to say the rules have changed, but it's just like you can't dodge certain things that like were non-existent back then, or you can't. Well, I guess they did exist, but there weren't things in place that like enforced it, I guess.
Yes.
Which like you can't dodge or get around any of those things now. Like you need that formal structure. And like I said, even solo YouTubers by themselves still have to maintain and create that infrastructure themselves.
Yeah. And that's just a social contract too, right? If you're watching a channel consistently, you want it to be consistent, and then you hire people so that consistency can be maintained, so that it can make the money needed to pay the people that are making it consistent, so that people can watch it consistently
and
fund it, right? Like it's like an ecosystem, and you can't have, you know what I mean? You can't have parts of that ecosystem running wild. And again, whether or not that's a fun thing to think about, and it sucks to have to play business with it, it's like this channel would not exist if there weren't people working hard every day to treat it like a business and treat it like a job and deliver that consistency that makes the entire thing work. When we started this, and the pieces that were on board when we started this, right, were obviously there was a lot of stuff in play from the Creatures transition, right? And you guys were bringing over, your friends and people that, you felt would be the smoothest part of this machinery, right? Like Joe, obviously, we were friends with him for years. Trevor, who when we started, I didn't know that well, honestly. He had been a recent addition over there and kind of got pulled in with this. We knew what kind of stuff he wanted to work on. Aaron, but it's not like when we started this, we were like, all right, cool, let's pick some career veterans who are ready to edit, ready to be a part of a team from day one. No, like we recruited friends.
And Trevor said that as well, like numerous times. I never planned on being an editor. I never planned on doing any of this stuff. Like, I mean, he's said that too.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about losing 5 people over X time or something, that's a result of just the way we went. And even recruiting new editors, like when I was there for the interview for Asher and Anna, like I interviewed them and like, even then it's like, cool, do you want to work on this channel? We're in Colorado. There's no sense necessarily that we're going to be evicted in X months. We're going to take you on some whirlwind trip to Los Angeles, But that is what happened for a lot of these people. And, and also the eye of the audience being on you, right? Like, okay, well, Trevor's got, 90, 100K, whatever Twitter followers all of a sudden, but then the price you pay for that is like, yes, you are on camera and you're the meme and people have expectations. They're gonna walk around and call you big pussy long after the fact that, way beyond a time when it was funny.
Yeah.
But that's the bargain, and you can either embrace that and roll with that and do something with that and let it empower you, or you can be like, get spooked by it or not. And again, it's not for everybody, and I'm not saying that it should be for everybody, and I don't begrudge anybody that at certain points along the way we're like, okay, I'm gonna opt for my own personal satisfaction, right? Joe wants to go back to Colorado, hike, start a family, cool. Like that's whatever. Like the fact that he went as far as he did, great. Trevor, again, we got a lot of younger people where it's like you're still trying to figure out who you are, and obviously, I'm not saying anything anyone doesn't know as far as Trevor is like coming of age on camera, essentially, from sort of who he is now when we started that channel. It's it's a process, and he went through it on camera.
And I feel like that's happened to us too. I mean, I feel like personally that happened to me. Like I moved out younger and like I essentially grew up on camera. Like at some point in time, like almost half of my life will have been spent on fucking camera. Mm-hmm. At some point, there will be that time when it's like, reevaluate that. And like, it happens. Mm-hmm. But like, Trevor grew up on fucking camera essentially for those few years.
Yeah, it was short, but it's a huge change, and it obviously left its mark. And then, moving to Los Angeles, and people always subscribe all these things to like, oh, LA's so shitty. But really, 9 times out of 10, it's people who don't have their own shit figured out or are still exploring who they are, what they want to do. And then, it doesn't have the tolerance for that.
I'm from Amish country, fucking Pennsylvania. If I can survive out here, anybody can fucking survive out here.
Right.
I mean,
well, you may have a lot more resources than the average person.
That is true. I don't think you do.
Moving to like another city
that
and then
true.
Commuting it.
That is true.
But to your point, like,
but I found something. You know what I mean? I could have easily just been like, yeah, this LA is not for me, which I already know at the core it's not for me. But like, I could still find something that is for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when I moved here with someone I went to film school with, however long ago that was, 11 years, 12 years coming up at this point. We got a place, and then Matt, who's filming this, moved out, and he slept on our floor of our apartment, just like as an addition. And then our other friend James even came out and stayed for a while. So it was a whole thing. But there was a point when all of them needed breathing room, and when that first lease ended, Matt, again, who was out there exploring it but didn't have a lease, he went back to Colorado. My friend who I moved with fully went back to Colorado and never came back, and I was just me alone, living in downtown Los Angeles, being like, okay, I'm gonna stay here. I gotta test myself. But that's not for everybody either, I guess. You know what I mean? And so it's like when Anna's like,
wait, was that before Machinima then? You're like, I gotta test myself.
This was in like my film school days. I was like, downtown LA is as far from like Colorado Springs, Colorado as I could theoretically put myself. And so I just lived alone for a while, and then Matt came out and he came back and lived in the same apartment. And for a while it was just us.
What was the pitch from them then to like, for you to be like, this is how I want to test myself when you did, or what was it? You didn't work there initially when you were out here, right?
Machinima?
Yeah.
Machinima was way down the line. I mean, that was like 4 years of it already being out
What
in
did
LA.
you first do?
Just PA'd, I just did a lot of PA work.
Oh, yeah,
I went to
that's right,
film
yeah.
school, but I was just like spilling trash on myself with like mad 16-hour days on film sets, just like staring into space, trying not to fall asleep. You have a lot of weird adventures, but that's all there is at first, unless you know people. And we didn't really know any. We knew one editor out in LA when we moved here, and he was working on a low-budget horror movie, and he gave us our first PA job. And then from there, it was just us. And we didn't have, to your point of like, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to come out and test themselves in a company that's like willing to like, cool, we'll pay for you to move to Los Angeles. We'll let you work creatively on anything you want to explore, basically. Cool. You want to, take time to learn something? Cool. We don't, it's not like we have set vacation or sick days. And, Lord knows there were plenty of times when people are just like, I'm not coming in. I don't feel good. My tummy hurts. I'm like, okay, whatever. So it could be a lot worse, So it's like a dual-edged sword, right? Like I have sympathy for people that it can't make it, but the cow chop womb is a womb. It's like it's a you know what I mean? Like whether or not it's for you, it's still a lot more insulated than a lot of people would like. But if you're moving out here and you're not trying to go out and make friends and you just kind of hermit up in your apartment, then it'll feel extra lonely. It'll feel extra bewildering. And I know that's something that they've struggled with as far as feeling like, there's nothing, what are we doing here, And then Trevor leaves and like Jacob and Asher only have Trevor to talk to and, aren't making, going out to meet, we introduce people to them like Kriken and them, for example, at events and stuff. But if you're not put in a position where you're talking to new people or putting yourself out there, it can be really isolating.
All those guys are actually out here too. I mean, they are out. Yeah. They're out here and about. So it's like,
it's not like, whatever. Long roundabout way of saying, I guess, Asher, who had weathered a lot of that other stuff, but reaching a point where, whether or not he felt he had friends out here, whatever, just not being able to fulfill his part of the contract, right? Which is like coming to work on time. Yeah, not missing flights to events and stuff like that. That's huge. It's huge when like a team's trying to do something that's already stressful and you have to worry about this X factor. Will this person show up on time? Will this person mess this up? And and you would think, once is enough of a hurdle. Okay, here's a warning, this person's learned. But we gave him a lot of opportunities, and it just wasn't working. And you reach a level where it's like, okay, it's not a matter of it just being a decision. Clearly something is impressing itself on this person where they cannot function in the way that they want to. And when the time came, after RTX, we came back and kind of had that conversation with him. I think I do agree that it seemed like it was a relief for him on some level, that it was like, cool, this is the reality check I needed, because otherwise maybe it wasn't going to happen. Yes, I'm not able to function right now, and I need a hard reset. And look, Asher was living with his parents before when we hired him in Colorado, he was living with his parents.
Yep.
And that's not it's a big transition. And in a lot of ways in his behavior, it showed it, right? Of someone who's like living on your own for the first time, interacting with people on your own for the first time, being at a company, mom's not there to clean up after you, that sort of stuff. So I get it, but it's not an excuse. And for people trying to run a business, it's not something you can just forgive forever, because it does hurt the team and it does do whatever. So
I think you mentioned the growing up bit when we started the talks of Los Angeles. That predated Cow Chop, and the idea has always been like, we're gonna go to Los Angeles to capitalize on the resources that we would get when we come here, which is the production side of things. Having a warehouse where we can do stupid shit in.
Always,
film locations. All that stuff is really necessary to what we do. I mean, it's just we can go around to like playgrounds in Colorado and fake bomb pranks, until the sun comes up. But eventually, we probably would have paid a heavy toll for it. I always say that. People in Colorado aren't super excited when people like us show up to film them, and it's not very regulated down there. Whereas here, at least you can find a Craigslist ad for what you're looking for and get it done relatively easy or quickly. And I think us picking up guys that just got out to Colorado or were kind of safe living there and being like, hey, we're doing this crazy thing and then we're gonna go to Los Angeles. I feel like it was asking, not a lot, but it was asking of people to do things that were maybe outside of their comfort zone. And whether they did it and came out here and tried it, good for them. Whether they liked it or not, at the end of the day, it sucks, and I wish they would have liked it more, and I wish they could have found things that they enjoyed more. Whether I went out with Asher to different bars and tried to do things with them, or whether I was hoping that Trevor would eventually like be old enough where me hanging out with him wouldn't be so creepy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucks because they I mean, for all intents and purposes, I was friends with these guys, and these aren't conversations that I wanted to have. Honestly, I don't think anyone here wanted to have these types of conversations, because I always did see Couch Up, and still do see Couch Up as like cool, creative project that, you know, we do on our off time, and creative ideas that we have maybe as a sidebar conversation that eventually turns into, hey, wouldn't this be stupid if we did that? And it's like, we just shoot it and then it's done, you know, it's a video. Like that's still very cool to me. And if, you know, we have friends that are on board, awesome. If we have friends that aren't on board, that sucks, but I'm not gonna force anyone to, like, you know, partake in things they're not comfortable with. And in some cases, yeah, these guys went back because they weren't comfortable with it. In some cases they had to go back. So I guess for the future, because I know people always say, what's the future? Is it a board game channel now? I do want to put out and say that, for example, we just had Alek, who started as an intern very recently, who we kind of had to shoehorn into some of these videos as a result of us just like not having enough people, you know? And it wasn't just because Asher had left at the time, just we had, you know, we have situations that go on where
Jacob
somebody
was taking a break on camera,
right, where somebody
wanna
can't be
play a
on
game,
camera,
yeah.
where somebody is sick or whatever, and we just don't have enough people sometimes, and it's like, oh, this idea that we have needs like 4 people at least, right? And he's done a really awesome job just being thrown in. He's working part-time basically, and just to be in front of the camera, to go from like, hey, this seems like a cool thing I'm in, to like, yo, you're in front of the camera now, be funny. And so far I've seen positive feedback. I've had him in a few videos that were pretty awful, and they still turned out okay, so I'm happy about it. And yeah, that's us having fun, you know? It's not supposed to be like a serious fucking thing all the time, but sometimes, like this CCTV episode, it does get a little serious and it sucks, but that's like just the reality of the reality. I don't know. That's just how it is. So yeah.
Yeah, piggybacking on that, I mean, I will say, like, I do, you know, it sucks. I do miss those guys. Like, Asher's been gone a couple weeks, and it's like, I liked recording videos with Asher. His like element of the formula was very specific, and I really appreciate in videos, and you can kind of count on him to like play certain roles and do certain things, and he's great. I miss Trevor. You know, it's like Trevor, I felt like I was hoping that we were going to be able to like shoot more stuff with together, and like he, you know, made me laugh, and it's like, look, it sucks for all this stuff, but at the same time, on the flip side, it's like, it doesn't change the fact that at a certain level you've got people who are opting to kind of pursue their own thing, and it's no longer helping our thing. And like, you know, for better or worse, you know, my job is to help keep this ship on course too, right? And for the 3 of us here, you know, probably more importantly, on some level, like, our obligation is the strongest to help keep that, you know what I mean? And so I'm not gonna be apologetic for someone for forever if they can't uphold their end of the bargain. And I think it's a pretty simple bargain. If it's like, you know, if you want to be a part of something huge and benefit from it and have all these opportunities, whether or not it occurs to you to like opt in on all of them, but like you can build such a huge following for yourself, and then you know 5 years from now, 10 years from now, have something that started here, great. But if you're not going to take advantage of that and it's just all too much, then like, cool, I wish you well, but that's just the end of the story. And I am grateful for the people that we do have currently who, you know, and again, whether that's just a where you are in the path of your life kind of vibe, you know, where it's like where I am at like 35 and in my career is different than, you know, like someone like Trevor or someone like even like Jacob, who's very young too. It's like, and I can't expect it to be, but like Matt, Lindsay, people who have lived long enough to have this part of the career and understand what shitty jobs are like, and have worked lots of shitty jobs in places that are way worse than fucking Couch Up by an insane margin, you know. And I've worked jobs, you know, again, 16-hour jobs on your feet, spilling trash on yourself, not to sound like an old man who's like fucking walked uphill both ways, but it's like, that's the reality of life, is like working lots of shitty jobs. And I appreciate those with the grit to like fucking dig in and be like, cool, this job sucks way less than a lot of other alternatives, and I want to make it better. Like, Matt is here like before anybody gets to work, and is usually there after everyone else leaves, and fucking busts his balls. And like, I appreciate that work ethic, and that's what we want, I think, going forward. Is like, it's hard, it's a hard formula to find people like Alek, right, where like, thank God accidentally our intern could become a PA and then become on-camera talent. That's like pretty rare, and he's great, and I'm super grateful for him. He might go back to school, and we're gonna lose him, and that's a bummer. But John Y, who if you may not have noticed, the editor from Inside Gaming is on our team full time. He edited Skull Wizards. He edited
I don't think that many people knew that.
Amazon Palette. Yeah, well, if you don't, he's on our team and he's fucking awesome, and he's a great fucking editor.
Yeah. He's also come to me with different spins on, like the palette thing was him idea. Talking to me and telling me like this spin on Amazon.
Yeah.
And like he just kind of vaguely told me about the liquidation stuff. And like I essentially just took his ball and rolled with it now. And now I'm just like continuing like what he initially kind of pitched. Yeah. And he just pitched me something else this morning, that he thought would be kind of suited for the channel. So like, I mean, that's great.
And look, again, like Lindsay, I've known a long time, and I recruited for this, and I dump shit on Lindsay all the time of like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And I need like, my own right hand of, just getting shit done. And it's like, it's all hugely important, and I'm very grateful people that aren't, like all due process to soul searching and figuring out who you are, but that doesn't serve keeping Couch Hop in existence at a certain level. So for those who have figured out where they are and are in a good place, thank you. And hopefully, as we go forward in this exploration of whatever the next phase is, it's like we'll recruit more people who are, already out here, already trying to do something, already looking for a place, and not so much like, cool, I was imported and I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm on the whirlwind ride. And again, all due props to those guys. And like you say, Asher's hugely talented, and I hope this is a nice, like, reset for him where he realizes like some of the his own shit, and then when he approaches whatever's next for him, he's wiser for it. But when you talk about stuff like, well, is it a board game channel now, is it this now, being able to explore creative whims and have a team that we can
future
exploring the future.
That's the bullet point.
I don't think we don't have like some crazy roadmap, except like, are we still being creatively stimulated? Is it still fun for us? Are we still actively having fun? And whether or not in any given video, if you watch a wrong side of YouTube or something where someone's like, fuck, I can tell this is a bad video, I'm trying to make it good. Generally speaking, are we creatively fulfilled? Generally speaking, are we still happy with the intended like results? Like, cool, floor is lava. Can you do something like that and test it and be satisfied? Cooking show, like, am I still having fun coming up with like prompts each week? Like you pitching new shows and stuff like that. You doing live action stuff like that. Are you still feeling good about coming to work? Is it still worth the trade of your time and your free time? You could be streaming or whatever to come into an office and add and keep something alive.
I think it's like the more. That's the more real conversation for us.
Yeah.
Because it started as like, yo, James, our live streams do pretty good. Why don't you make a channel? Or why don't we make a channel? Cool. To like, yo, who's gonna edit this? Yo, who's actually gonna like be here when we decide to do our own shit and our own fucking time and don't want to like, be there 17 hours, a day.
Yeah. Let that point not get lost in translation with anything, is that we still very much do our own fucking deals, like almost overly full time on top of this, all of this at the same time. So that's still very much in the picture, just like it was in the hub. More so than ever.
Well, the goal, and not take away from the point that you were just making, Brett, but the other ulterior goals of like, when we talk about the hub too, I felt there was things that we could have done better there. I felt like there was people that didn't have to be, let go or leave or whatever the case was there as well. And I guess for Couch Hop, I wanted to make sure that we plugged up a bunch of holes. Unfortunately, as a learning experience, you can't have a bunch of people come in and expect everyone to be like 100% committed to any project that you're doing. And that's just all learning experience. But I still feel like we owed the fans, at least you and I did, to make something cool regardless, Like I didn't want it to be the end or the downfall of the hub and all of a sudden everyone goes in their way. So I wanted to carry on that tradition.
Regardless of where it goes from here, or what happens from here, or if there's more instances of this or less instances of this, or whatever the case may be, I would say no matter what, like that agenda that we had at first, that idea that we had at first, whether it was, oh, they were at their peak at the first house or whatever, like, hey, that's great, fine, whatever, I'll take it. Because you know what? That means that goal was achieved. It was achieved in the very first fucking year, too. It was achieved right out of the gate. So if that's the case, then we did set out what we set out to do what we did, and we did it effectively, and we did it successfully. So like, I mean, I don't want to toot our own horn, but like, hey, like if those are the memories that people like hold near and dear, that year one, then that still makes me feel good, you know, like, yeah, kind of, it's whatever.
It is kind of funny because with the hub stuff, people do link like really old videos. Yeah. But with Couch Hop, they'll link stuff from like a year and a half ago, like as if it's nostalgia, and that's just weird to me because I'm like, yeah, that was just last year, and it's like, wow, that was really good. But yeah, it's uncharted waters now. I think it's therapeutic for us to still do stuff. So I think James and I both enjoy doing all the crazy shit we do. Happy for everyone still working on this stuff. I think there's still gonna be cool things happening in the future. I don't think the sets is the final, stage of Couch Hop. I think we do have plans for other things. And I guess back to what you were saying.
We have a lot more support than we did in Colorado. I mean, again, there's all this stuff that people maybe don't, see on a daily basis where you're just like, no, I want you back in the house doing this, the one bit, the one bit when you're in the house. And I think that's like a lot of channels end up with that stagnation where they can't get outside of the one bit. And it's like for us, wanting to do new things, be weird, do stuff we haven't done before, test stuff, talk to people like people at Funhouse we respect, more than anybody professionally. And it's like I talk to Bruce all the goddamn time. Every time I'm at a party, I'll talk to, James, Elise, whoever. We're always trading notes. And that's just like what you need, I think, to not be
stagnant. That was very much one of the, probably within the, top 3 maybe bullet points to moving out here initially was like kind of getting out of that bubble and, doing the collaborations, meeting people. Whether we're having them on the podcast or whatever, we've done the podcast with, Aaron from the Grumps. We've done, the podcast with the entirety of Funhouse. Criken, now Criken has like his, crew that's more formal as well. Like
we've had Kovic at this point.
Sugar Pine 7, who knows how many fucking times. That's all stuff that like we did not do, but we really could not do back in Colorado. And I think that was one of the main points that me and Aleks had brought up when the first LA talks even began, was like, we're in a bubble. We are in a bubble, and like there is no getting out of this fucking bubble. It's a safe little bubble, but it's a fucking bubble. Like, what do we do here? How do you grow out of this? You can't. There is no growing out of this bubble that we were in.
I think about like if we stayed in like, for example, like you said, the house. The bits would be we're breaking furniture in the house, like year 2, year 3. I feel like people would just call us try hard at that point, or so. I don't know. I don't know what the reality of it is, but it's nice that people can go back to things, and even more so now, I feel like the shit we do is like really cool. So either way, I guess thanks everyone for watching us, and I don't know. The river's gonna keep going, whatever the fucking proverb is. I'm not sure what the forward
death
and beyond,
comes for everybody.
Forward and beyond. Is that the Buzz Lightyear quote?
To infinity and beyond.
Whatever, dude.
Is that what you're?
I don't know.
You say a river, like a river? Is that
like because the river keeps going?
River keeps going.
Rivers always keep.
No matter how bad the current is, the river keeps going.
Well, the current would affect how good the river goes. If the
but it's gonna be different. It's gonna happen. It could be a fucking tidal wave in a river one day.
That'd be great for the river.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be great for the flooding around it. It would affect.
Like a drought would be bad.
Well,
because that would dry up.
There's a lot of different ways this river analogy could go.
It's true.
Okay, let me end this on a story.
Oh, story.
I want this to set
like
the
a hypothetical,
tone.
Or is it?
No, it's a real story.
Oh.
It's a real story that I saved. I didn't tell you guys about.
You didn't tell either of us about?
I didn't tell either of you this happened to me because I was saving it
live
on the podcast.
What the heck?
Because it's good. It's a good ender for all of this, heady conversation.
recent?
This is very recent.
Holy smokes.
So I was going home from the gym last week, end of last week. I want to say it was like Friday or something. And I was going down Hollywood, and I was like, I'm going to take Sunset. So then I turned onto Highland. Some of you may know this, okay? And I was going across from a school. And kind of what I had was there's 2 lanes of sort of stop traffic at a light, but then the turn lane is empty, right? So I turn into the turn lane, but I'm the only thing moving down, otherwise like still traffic on the street, right? And then the other side, there's no oncoming traffic because there's a red light over there, right? Okay? So I turn into the turn lane because I'm going to turn on to Sunset, and I'm coming down the turn lane, and then like the half a second that I can see, someone is riding a bicycle through the stop traffic, and they're going to cut across the street to the other side of Highland. Unfortunately, I'm going, whatever that is, 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, down Highland, and you know, he's coming out of stopped cars, so I'm like, oh, I'm 100% going to hit this person on a bicycle. And I absolutely do. I fucking hit this person on the bike. Makes the worst sound. The sound that, you know how bicycle sounds when making impact with something, sort of that springy, horrible. And then the accompanying human body sound of boom, 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 boom. Presumably, before we came to this podcast, James was like, what's this mark, on the hood of your car? Well, I believe one on the front is where a tire kind of skidded across the top of my car. And then if you had looked closer, you would see the dent on the other side where I guess, you know, paint is chipped off where someone made an impact. So anyways, that horrible sound happens. I stop the car and I'm just in shock for a second, and I'm like, did I just fucking kill someone? Through, you know, really no fault of my own. I'm just driving and someone, you know, runs out in front of your car. That's that horrible, quintessential, cool, I just ended someone's life. So I'm like, oh my God. And I like kind of scream in my car a little bit, just like, what the fuck? And I jump out of my car and I'm just like, oh my God, you can't do that. What the fuck? And I see the person is on his feet. Believe it or not, he's on his feet and he's looking at me kind of like sheepishly, like I fucked up. And I'm just like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay, dude? And it's kind of like, he's like a dude, he's like kind of a little bit older dude, he had dreadlocks, kind of a little bit older than me, had some, you know, and I was like, are you all right? And he was like, yeah. And I just kind of like hugged him because I was so relieved that there wasn't a dead body underneath the fucking front of my, because it sounds, you know, when you get in a car accident, it always sounds even worse than it is too. You get like, someone scrapes the side of your car, it sounds like a train, you know, tore you up. So auditorily to me, I saw someone going under my tires basically. He was fine. He had scraped his fucking elbow and his bike was laying like 10 feet ahead of me in the empty turn lane at this point, and I'm stopped. And I like hug him and I'm like, oh my God, bro, I thought I just fucked you up. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I was trying to just cut through it. He's like, I'm on my way to he's on his way to like, I'm not trying to share his business, but it's interesting. He's like, I was on my way to anger management class. He's like, and I just he's like, I'm having one of those days. And I'm like, and I got it. I pictured it in my head. I'm like, dude, everyone's had one of those days where you're just in the fucking zone, in your own head, try and fucking run through. And that guy could have died in a fucking instant just because he's having a bad day, trying to rush through, get to some destination. And, you know, I could have killed someone and lived with that the rest of my life, you know, just going about my business. He's like, what's your name? He's like, tell me his name. And I told him my name, and I was just like, he's like, I hope this didn't ruin your day. And I'm like, dude, you're alive. So no, my day is not ruined. I did not commit vehicular homicide unintentionally today. You're alive. I'm glad you're okay. And I like hugged him again. I'm just like, all right. I was like, do you need a ride? He's like, he picked his bike up. He's like, oh, look. And he just put the chain back on it. Miraculously, his bike was fine despite being 10 feet ahead of my car. He had a scraped elbow and he was fine. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go about my way. And I was like, okay, dude. I was like, be careful. He's like, maybe this will be a lesson for me. You know, I'll be more careful. And I'm like, it's a reminder for me to just always, I mean, there's nothing I could have really done. I hit the brakes so hard on that, but like, so that's what I'm ending this podcast on, I guess, is just like a reminder that you could die any second if you're not careful, and to like not be so fucking in your own head about things, and be grateful for the fact that you are able to do stuff and not let a bad day fucking direct you down a path of ruin unintentionally. So, look out for each other and be conscious of yourself and take care of yourself. That's all I'm going to end that. To all employees and all viewers.
That could have been a big fucking lawsuit.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been awful. I mean, my car has a big fucking dent in it and a big piece of paint missing off of it, and now like some greasy tires. But you know what would have been worse? Yeah, absolutely a dead body. And lawsuit notwithstanding or whatever, but like having to live with that, being like, oh cool, I was going home from the gym and somebody rode their bike in front of me and died. That's awful. So that fucked me up for the rest of that day a little bit. But I thought it was important to share because you never know.
Wait, you told him that it didn't ruin your day?
It didn't ruin it. I mean, I was so relieved that he was fine and that catastrophe hadn't struck. But I was definitely thinking about it. But it was good. It was, the rest of that day I was more mindful and I was like, is this really important? Is this really important? Am I responding to this well? Is this?
That's a life lesson. That's like a life evaluation.
Yeah. So there's YouTube and there's business and there's not, running down people and not getting yourself killed. So anyways, a heady CCTV. We'll leave you with that. Thank you to our sponsor, Quip, for being the sponsor of this very real discussion that we just kind of winged there. Good job. I feel like that was a good...
I'm just happy that we can have like a video conversation. It's not like clipped or it's like a BTS.
Yeah. Yeah, or a 5-minute segment about why Asher isn't here.
Not one of us pops the stream on and it's like got 500,000 views for like some, retort that we make, but...
Yeah, the Aaron clip is still circulating. I know. What happened?
Yeah.
Ask him on stream.
Like James said, we're just going to keep going, doing our thing, and people may come and go. We're happy for what we have, and don't run anyone over on Hollywood and Highland.
Don't run in front of traffic.
Yeah. Don't run anyone over. Too. You still shouldn't run people over. Yeah.
But also don't run in front of cars to get across the street when the extra 5 minutes is the difference between you being dead or not.
Right. Get your brakes checked. Make sure your brakes are good.
Get your brakes checked. That was twice in that day. Someone else almost ran into me. And then yesterday I went to Target. I was walking across the street. Some guy full stop almost just ran me down in the crosswalk, hit the brakes last minute and screeched to a stop before hitting me. And I was just like, and he was like, oops, sorry. I could tell that person was just zoned out, just going in a straight line to almost. I'm like, what? I'm supposed to be here. So just be careful out there. Be a defensive driver and be a defensive human being. Right. Anyways. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Next week's show